Hello everyone, I am Trevor, and welcome to Comic Media Reviews. Yes, indeed, in Comic Media Reviews, I will just be me, with the fireplace, and no voice recording, no Professor Comics accent, no Professor Comics attire. We're instead doing this attire, this shirt that I have here. It won't always be shorts, but for this particular video, because it's really hot, I decided to wear shorts. Anyway, here is what today's video will be reviewing. The new Superman movie from James Gunn. I love this movie so much. Now, this video will contain spoilers, so if you want just my spoiler-free, honest, out of 10 review, it is a 9 out of 10. It is a spectacular way to get this universe started. Of course, Creature Commandos really did start the universe as well as Peacemaker, but first movie to really start this universe being Superman is a great and amazing thing to have a Superman movie that just feels like the character. And I can't wait to see what Supergirl and Lanterns and all the other stuff brings. For right now, we're about to get into the spoiler part of this video. If you do not want to be spoiled for the movie, if you haven't seen it yet, then click away. You already know my regular review. But first we're going to start by analyzing the main characters, being Superman, Lois, and Lex. And then we will review the other characters that are in the movie, and then we will come back at the end to kind of grab everything together, along with anything that I feel like is important. However, before we do all of that, we will say the things I didn't like, so that we start out with the bad and end with the good. What did I not like? Well, the one thing I will say that I didn't really like in this movie was the choices that were made with Ultraman. You see, in the comics, Ultraman is a separate character from the clone of Superman, which is Bizarro in the comics, and also in the shows and other counterparts besides this movie. Ultraman comes from Earth 3, a parallel Earth, where all of the Justice League is evil, and they are known as the Crime Syndicate. He is basically the leader of the Crime Syndicate, though you could say that Owlman is more of a leader than he is. Either way, they are evil counterparts of the Justice League from our Prime Earth. In this movie, Ultraman turns out to just be a clone Lex Luthor made that is very dumb and doesn't quite understand everything, and feels a lot like Bizarro. Bizarro is a clone of Superman that Lex Luthor made, who is very dumb, looks a lot uglier, very strong, and much more bronze than brains. And that's what this clone, Ultraman, in the movie feels like. What I'm hoping might happen is one of two things. Either when we see this character again, if we see this character again, we will see this character stuck on his new Bizarro planet, and that's when he'll get the Bizarro name. Or alternatively, we will see him later on, and he will be turned into what Ultraman actually is in the comics. It turns out that he was taken in by Darkseid, and able to be taught how to use his powers effectively, taught how evil he can be, and all of this stuff. So, first, let's start with Lois Lane. The way that the actress portrays Lois Lane is incredible. She does a great way of displaying a character who is in a relationship with an alien. And is trying to deal with that, and also trying to deal with, being a top reporter on Earth, dealing with all of these like superpowered shenanigans that she has to go through, understanding all these things, keeping the secret. There's so much going on that she has to do, and so when she cracks under the pressure, it's understandable. It's not a thing that feels like it comes out of nowhere. It makes sense. Another character that is so perfectly portrayed is Lex Luthor. Nicholas Hoult does a great way of portraying a villain that just truly despises Superman. I mean, with the monkey bots, with the shooting the friend, with the kryptonite, with the capturing of the dog and making him seem insane when he's looking for the dog. It's all perfect. And one of the greatest things about having this new portrayal of Lex Luthor is that it leaves for more interesting things. It could lead to a Legion of Doom scenario where Lex Luthor decides to work with other villains and create the Legion of Doom, but he really just wants to kill Superman. Or it could lead to a movie about Metallo, because we've heard from James Gunn that there's a book that will explain that Metallo was actually someone that Superman already fought. If you don't know who Metallo is, quick summary, Metallo is a robot that has kryptonite inside of him, who used to be a man but was created into a robot by Lex Luthor. And basically, he's like this very strong robot with kryptonite inside of him that can, dampen Superman, which is very powerful villain indeed. So it'll be interesting to see if they ever create that into a movie or maybe even a show. Whatever they do, I'm really excited to see where all these characters go, but I'm most excited to see Superman. David Cornsweet does a great job of Superman, and in fact, something that I saw earlier today that I really feel like says what I want to say about Superman is David Cornsweet has to be an alter ego for Superman, right? Because he does such a good job of portraying the character that you almost feel like that's Superman, that's Clark Kent, and you can tell the difference. It doesn't feel like one is bigger than the other. I think something that you can tell in Henry Cavill's portrayal is that it really feels like Clark Kent is Superman, like you can kind of tell, but it's harder with David Cornsweet. Even though it's kind of harder, because, like, the glasses, obviously they're hypnotizing, but also, like, they make him, like, the hair is a little bit crazier, he's a little bit more, like, shoveled and stuff like that, so it feels so much better. Another thing about Superman in this movie, he's just more human. He saves everyone. He tries to make sure that the villains don't die. He wants kids to be rescued. He feels bad when people are in danger. He feels like his mission is to save the planet. And something that you can see that in is that specific line that he says to Lex Luthor about being human. It is the most powerful line I have seen in any movie, and it honestly made me almost cry, because it was so powerful. And there was a point, actually, in the movie where I did cry, which is when at the end we get to see him change his tone about his parents. Before he would always say, oh, I like my parents from Krypton. But then at the end, the parents that we see are his parents from Earth, Ma and Pa Kent, and that is just so heartwarming to see, and so sweet. And then there are the side characters. Now, the side characters, like the villains, for example, we've got the Engineer, and we have Eve, and we have Ultraman. I've already said my sense about Ultraman, so I won't dive into that anymore, but the Engineer and Eve are very interesting characters. Eve is not really a villain, she's more of just this girl who kind of likes Lex, but is actually more in love with Jimmy as a character, even though they broke up previously. She's a lot of energy and can be a little bit crazy when it comes to boundaries. Then, of course, there's the engineer who, well, we don't get to see a lot of her. She's a very interesting villain and a very interesting character to change into a villain, because in the comics, she's more of a hero, though she does have tendencies to kill her villains in the comics, more or less, so I can understand why they changed the story. Another character, or a group of characters that I really liked portrayed, were all of the people that were in the office, from Jimmy Olsen to Perry White to the other two newscasters that I don't really remember the names of. All of those characters feel like the characters from the comics or from the shows. Even Jimmy, with his a little bit strange, I guess the word is aura, but that's not the word that I'm going to use. I guess power to get all these girls. And he gets catcalled a lot in the movie, which I think is funny. But overall, you get to see a lot of these characters, and yes, we might not have seen a lot of Perry White or other characters, but it's still impactful to have these characters done the right way and given the right screen time. And then you have the heroes that you get to see, like Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl. Those three heroes being added to this movie were perfect choices. Also adding in the cameo from Peacemaker, where he is on the news. That was very funny. Adding in that monster, the two monsters, those were very interesting. Having Supergirl come in at the end and seeing where we're gonna find her in her new movie. And I'm dying to see how that will go, because I want to see Jason Momoa portray Lobo so badly. I'm so ready for that. Anyway, we're not talking about Supergirl. But the superheroes, they are perfect. You got Mr. Terrific, who's the smart guy, the third smartest man in the world. And he has all this technology, he understands everything, but he's not very good with emotions. And you can understand that from a level of, if you're a comic book reader and you know that his original origin story is that his wife and unborn child died, and his brother, who was handicapped, also died. So it can be understandable why he's not great with emotions. And then you look at Hawkgirl, who, while she doesn't get a lot of screen time, she is so good at being a hero, and they portray her character very nicely. They portray the attitude between her and Guy Gardner very counter bickering like siblings. I'm excited to see if they ever put her and Jon Stewart, aka the Green Lantern, that we're going to be able to see in Lanterns, if they put those two characters together like they do in one of the animated shows, because that would be really nice. I think that's a nice relationship that they should dive into. And then, of course, I think there's great character work done with Guy Gardner, because he's a jerk, and he does it so well. Nathan Fillion even said in an interview, if you're looking for a Green Lantern, you don't want Guy Gardner. But if you're the dictators of Oa and you want some shady business done and you don't want anyone else to know, Guy Gardner's your guy, because that's his character. And so it's so great to see all the characters portrayed in a way that feels right. You get the LexCorp people who work with Lex and feel powerful when they work with Lex, but sometimes they betray him. You have the common citizens who stand up for Superman, but then turn on him, but then stand up for him again. You have so many characters that all fit and make sense. You have Crypto, who's a great dog, but he's a puppy, and so he's really stupid sometimes. You have the robots who can't feel emotions, but you still feel emotion towards them. You have Ma and Pa Kent, who are great parents, and you can feel the energy from the father. And it's just so incredible what all of these characters have and possess, which is full stories. Going in with the movie as a whole. The movie as a whole, there is so much story in it, and the universe is so ready to take it. It's not like it feels incomplete. There are still some holes, like who was the first metahuman? What happened to Krypton? or like who destroyed Krypton in this universe? Was it Brainiac? This universe feels really complete, and it's one of those things that's nice about a universe that feels like there's a concrete line that we're going on instead of they're adding things in as they go. Of course, they can still do that, but we're not feeling like we're retconning stuff. I think something that Marvel has been doing a lot is trying to retcon so many things because things fall apart, and so therefore they're just like, let's throw everything at the wall. And that's not a good idea. Then, of course, you get like this universe that feels like they already have plans for some stuff in the past as well as the future. Of course, they have like Supergirl and Lanterns that are going to be in the future, as well as, you know, Peacemaker. But you also have things that feel like they could be made in the past, like who was the first metahuman in the universe? Who are the monsters other than like the monsters that were created by Lex Luthor? Will we be seeing the Creature Commandos in a live-action movie? Like, there's a lot that we could see, and I'm very excited for whatever James Gunn puts out next. Thank you guys so much for watching. Goodbye!